Hi lovely people, yeah, welcome back once again on my channel. So in this video, learn how to make this very beautiful shirt. So we'll first of all cut out the short, then before we go ahead and proceed to the top. Okay, I will post a separate video on how you can make the top. So if this video is what you're interested in, kindly watch the video to the end, subscribe, like and share. Well, first of all, place the amount of fabric I'll be using on. You can see the down part. I'm trying to mark out the length. This is my hemming or folding allowance here. I added 2 inches. So here I have about my thigh measurement divided by 2. That's the amount of fabric I placed on fold. Go ahead and divide your thigh, how free you want your thigh to be. So after that, you go ahead and get your length. You can see I'm trying to mark my length. So from that length, I'm going to subtract 2 inches for my band. Going to subtract 2 inches. You can see me marking at my 2 inches here. So I subtracted 2 inches from my band from the total length I had. Okay, remember your length plus your folding allowance. You can use 2 inches or 3 depending on how big you want it to be. After that, place your tape. You can see the way I place my tape. Then I'm going to divide my hip circumference by 4. Then that is what I'm marking for my crotch length. And after that, I went up by 2 inches for my hip line. You can see this is my crotch length and my hip line. So from here now, I will also measure my hip circumference divided by 4. You can see the way I'm marking it. So this is my hip circumference from the crotch line. I'll mark it all the way to the waistline like so. So after that, I'll go ahead and use a straight rule to connect the lines. So after marking it out now, from the waistline like this, I'm going to mark my waist circumference. You can see starting from the crotch line, I will mark my waist circumference divided by 4. Then I'll add 1 inch allowance. Okay, so I won't be adding any dart here. So you can see after that, I'll connect it to all the way to the hip line. So I will not be using that. So this is a free pant. I will not be using that. So there will be no dart. It's not the corporate pant. So you can see here, I'll just go ahead and curve. You can see the way I'm curving my crotch. You can see I've curved my crotch like this. So this is how you curve it. Don't let it be too deep. If it be too deep, it's going to affect the pants. So you can see. So from here now, I'll just come down by half an inch from the crotch. Then I'll go up by half an inch again by the side. You can see what I'm trying to do. Then I'll go ahead and connect it with a slide curve rule. So you can see the way I'm trying to use my slightly curved rule to curve it. So from the crotch line, from the center front, you are going to come down by half an inch. Then from the side, you are going to go up by half an inch. You're going to use half an inch. Okay, so after that, from the crotch line, you're going to impute your thigh measurement like I said earlier. Then you are going to divide to get the midpoint. So here, so what I have here from this midpoint, now I'm going to mark it straight. That will be your grain lines. Okay, so after marking all the grain lines from the waistline down to the hemline, you are going to use a straight rule to connect it. Okay, so here we're trying to get our knee. So after connecting it like so, the next thing is to go ahead and measure your knee divided by 4. Then you mark each part by to divide your knee circumference by 4. So after dividing your knee circumference by 4, whatever you get, you're going to mark it on both sides, on each side, okay, of the grain line. So that grain line, you're going to mark your result or whatever you measure you get. You can see the way I mark it on both sides. Then I also mark it on the other side. Okay, then I will use my rule to connect. That is what I meant by dividing your knee circumference by 4. So that you are going to connect, you can see the way I'm trying to connect it. Okay, so just divide your knee circumference by 4. Then you mark each of your result. You mark your outcome or whatever you get on each side, on both sides of the grain line. So you can see here. So for me, I'm going to mark my pocket. So I'm marking 2.5 inch, or you can use 2 inch for the pocket. Then you use 7.5 for the down part. You are going to connect it like so. So you can see this for the pocket, but I'm not going to be cutting it out. Me, I like showing my pocket before I cut it out. Okay, but if you're going to cut it out, don't forget to add your sewing allowance. So you're going to be cutting on that. So you can see the way I added half inch for the sewing allowance. So after that, we just go ahead and do what and cut it out. You can see now I'm trying to cut it out. All right, so just go ahead and cut out your front. So you're going to be using the front piece to cut out the back. So you can see the way I didn't cut through, or you can see the way I folded my flap. So I didn't cut out the flap. Okay, so I like cutting my front together with the flap. So you can see I folded my fabric into 2 again. So I've placed the front on the back. So I've extended my crotch length for the back crotch extension. So you can see here I've extended my back crotch extension. Then I'll add I marked 2.5, so I'm using 2.5 inches. So on the down part, I'll just go ahead and add 1 inch. Okay, then I'll connect it like so. I'll use my cover to connect. So after connecting it like that, you can see I've connected the crotch, the back crotch to the hemline. So from there, then I'm going to work on a crotch extension, the upper side. So you can see here, so the next thing I'm going to do is to get the midpoint of the green line. You can see where I'm getting the midpoint. Then I'll mark. So the midpoint I had is 2 inches. Then I'm going to, from that 2 inches, we are going to be extending the back crotch extension. You can see what I'm trying to do now. So from here, I'm going to measure whatever I have on the front. So I'm going to start measuring. So whatever I have here from the front, so you can see I'm trying to do what to make sure everything is equal. So here, this line, I'll go ahead and extend this line here. So from there, from this crotch extension, I'm going to measure whatever I got, but I'm still trying to get the curve, the crotch curve, the back crotch curve. So I'm going to measure for the front, whatever I have here. I will start from that back crotch extension. You can see where I placed my tape. Then I'm going to mark it. Okay, just go ahead and mark. So after marking, you can go ahead and add extra half inch. The next thing is to connect. So from that one, from the back extension, I'm going to be marking 2.5 inches. Then I'll go ahead and use my slightly curved rule to connect it all the way here. I hope you guys understood. Here I have several videos on how to make this a pant, short or a normal pant, so you can check on my channel on how to make pants or trousers for ladies. Okay, so you can see what I'm trying to do. So after that, I'll go ahead and add 1 inch. Okay, so just go ahead and add 1 inch all the way down and connect like so. You can see the way I'm adding my 1 inch. So this is my 1 inch here. So after that, I'll just go ahead and do what and connect. You can see the way I'm connecting it. Then we'll go ahead and do what and curve our crotch. So after curving the crotch, you can see, so here this is the line for the front. So I'll just follow it up like so. Then this is the back crotch. So you go ahead and do what and mark. So I have 2 inches here. So what I'll do next is to connect. So this is the back crotch. So I'll just go ahead and use my curve or my free hand to curve it. As you're curving, don't make sure it didn't curve too much. Okay, it has to be shallow curved, not too deep, so that you have a very perfect pant sitting. Okay, so guys, at this point, if you have not given this video a thumbs up, please kindly give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel and like. Please let me know your opinion in the comment section. So after that, the next thing is to go ahead and cut it out. Okay, so you can see the way I'm cutting it out right now. Just go ahead and cut out this piece. They are going to use this to do what, to make a very beautiful pant. All right, so guys, so you can see now the way I'm trying to cut it out. So you can see I'm cutting it out right now. All right, so just go ahead and cut it out, then you are good to go. So this is my crotch. I'm cutting out my crotch now. See, I'm done with it. So now the next thing is to cut out the pocket. To go ahead and put this aside and proceed to cutting out the pocket. So you can see this is my pocket. I folded it into two. I folded 8 inches. So I folded 8 inches the fold. Then for the length, I used 14 inches. Okay, that is for my pocket. Okay, so now you can see I'm trying to mark it. So this is 14 inches. Then I'll go ahead and roll it. Then I'll cut it out. You can give yours on the down part. You go ahead and make it a curve, or you can leave it straight like so. So I've cut out one part. I'm going to use this to cut the second pocket. So you can see I will use the first one, and I'll place it, then I'll make sure I trace the exact shape. So this is for the second pocket. Okay, so after that, just go ahead and do what and curve the down part. You can see, so this is what I mean by curving it, or you can decide to leave it straight, but I want to curve the down part of my pocket like so. This is it. So after that, then my pocket is ready. I'll set it aside now. So here we've gone to the end of the tutorial. Please watch out for the part 2. Thank you so much for watching.